When I saw her in that white dress, my world split in two. That was the moment everything I knew about love, family, and truth began to crumble. The lights shimmered gold, the music soft and elegant, and yet, all I could see was the man I loved, looking at another woman as if I no longer existed. The laughter, the champagne, the celebration, it all blurred together like a cruel dream. And at the center of it stood the woman in white. My mirror. My twin. My name is Clara Jameson, and until that night, I believed I was an only child. Life with my mother was simple, small, safe. She was a night nurse, always smelling faintly of antiseptic and lavender. My father disappeared when I was too young to remember him, and any mention of him made her shoulders tense. Our yellow house on Alder Street creaked with age and quiet love. She often told me, "One perfect heart is all I ever needed." I thought it was just something mothers said. Then came the call. It was late, rain whispering against the window, Ethan asleep beside me. Aunt Lila's voice trembled through the receiver. "Clara, I need to tell you something about your mother. About when you were born." I laughed at first. But then she said the words that split my world open. "You weren't alone. You had a twin sister." My mother had hidden an entire life from me. A sister named Isabel, given up for adoption the day we were born. I could hear Lila crying softly, whispering, "She made me promise not to tell." When I confronted my mother, she said only, "Some truths are better left buried." That was when I knew it was real. Weeks passed, but the thought of Isabel consumed me. Who was she? Did she look like me? Did she laugh the same? One night, I searched online. Birth records, adoption files, anything. There it was, 2 infants, both labeled Baby Jameson. Only one went home. I traced the second file, adopted by a family named Morgan. And then I found her. Isabel Morgan. Marketing director. Same eyes, same smile, same dimple. I felt the air leave my body. My twin. I didn't tell Ethan. Not yet. He'd been distant lately, always working late, his phone turned away. One night, scrolling through social media, I saw it, a photo from Isabel's company dinner. She stood beside Ethan, his hand around her waist. The caption, "Celebrating new beginnings with our favorite photographer." I zoomed in, hoping it was some cruel coincidence. It wasn't. He was smiling the same smile he once saved only for me. My breath caught. My heart didn't break, it simply went silent. He came home that night and kissed my forehead. I asked how dinner was. "Work was good," he said, lying through perfect teeth. I nodded, pretending not to know. The next morning, I opened Isabel's profile. A picture of her by the ocean, with Ethan's camera strap slung around his neck. The truth hit me like a wave. My fiancé wasn't just cheating. He was cheating with my sister. Neither of them knew. But soon, they would. I arranged a meeting under the guise of a wedding client inquiry. When Isabel walked into the office, it felt like the world folded in half. Same eyes, same posture, same nervous half-smile. She froze when she saw me. "Hi," I said softly. "I'm Clara." Her hand trembled as she shook mine. "Isabel." In that moment, she didn't recognize me, but something in her eyes flickered. A strange, invisible thread tugged between us. I left the office knowing 2 things. The truth was alive between us, and I couldn't run from it anymore. Days later, I followed Ethan to a cafe downtown. Isabel was there, radiant in blue. He kissed her cheek, then slid a small velvet box across the table. My breath caught as she gasped. He proposed. To her. My body went cold. I wanted to scream, but the sound stayed trapped in my chest. The world blurred, and for a moment, I saw myself, standing in her place, wearing that ring. My heart shattered, quietly, elegantly. That was the moment I stopped being the woman who waited for truth. I became the woman who revealed it. I didn't sleep the night of the proposal. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her face, my own face, lit with joy under cafe lights. The ring on her finger glittered like a cruel joke. I kept wondering if Ethan ever looked into her eyes and saw me staring back. When he came home, I pretended to be asleep. He slipped into bed quietly, smelling faintly of someone else's perfume. It wasn't guilt that kept me awake, it was resolve. Over the next few days, I planned. Calmly. Carefully. I knew I couldn't just confront him. I needed truth to speak for itself. When he invited me to a client dinner that weekend, I knew exactly what he meant. I followed him from a distance, my hands cold, my pulse steady. He arrived at the garden hall, dressed in the same navy jacket from that night. People gathered, laughter filling the air. And then, Isabel walked in a white dress. My white dress. It wasn't just a dinner. It was an engagement celebration. My fiancé, my sister, their love paraded beneath fairy lights. For a moment, I couldn't breathe. Then something inside me steadied. I walked in through the side door, heart drumming in my ears. Ethan saw me first, his smile faltered, eyes widening. Isabel turned, confusion spreading across her face. Gasps rippled through the crowd. I stood at the center of the room. "Don't stop the music," I said softly. "I'm only here to congratulate the happy couple." The silence was electric. "Isabel," I said, my voice shaking but clear. "You don't know me, but you should. My name is Clara Jameson." She frowned, lips trembling. Why does that sound familiar?" "Because," I said, taking a breath, "we share more than a man. We share blood." The crowd murmured. Isabel's eyes widened. Ethan's face went pale. "You're my sister," I said. "The one they gave away." A glass shattered somewhere behind us. Isabel shook her head, whispering, No, that's not." "Oh, it's true," I said softly. "You didn't just take my fiancé. You took my reflection." Ethan tried to speak, but I held up a hand. "You knew you were betraying me, Ethan. But you didn't know how deep it went. You've been living two lives, and tonight, they collided." Tears filled Isabel's eyes. "You're lying," she whispered. "You have to be." "Check the records," I said, turning toward the exit. "Same hospital. Same date. Same mother." I didn't stay to see their reactions. I didn't need to. The truth was enough. When I stepped outside, the cool air hit my skin like baptism. For the first time in months, I felt free. But freedom doesn't erase pain, it only exposes what's left. That night, I walked along the river where Ethan had once promised me forever. The same spot where we'd planned our wedding photos. I stared at the reflection of the city lights rippling over the water. Two lights dancing side by side, never touching. Just like us. I realized then that Isabel wasn't my enemy. She was another victim of silence and lies. So, 2 days later, I left a note at her door, "We need to talk. Not as enemies, as sisters. Tomorrow, noon, the park by the fountain." When she arrived, she looked exhausted. No makeup, no pretense. Just a woman with too many broken pieces to hold. "I didn't know," she said immediately. "I swear, Clara, I had no idea who you were." I nodded. "I believe you." Her eyes widened. "You do?" "Yes." He was good at pretending. We both learned that the hard way. We sat in silence, listening to the fountain's soft rhythm. Then she whispered, "When you said we were sisters, I didn't believe it. But I checked. You were right." Tears welled in her eyes. "I'm calling off the engagement." I looked at her, my mirror, my other half, and for the first time, I smiled. "That's the bravest thing you could do." She exhaled shakily. "Maybe we both deserve better." "Maybe we were meant to find each other this way," I said. "Through the wreckage." We laughed softly through tears, and for the first time, I felt something close to peace. That night, Ethan called. His voice was small, desperate. "Clara, please, let me explain." "Explain what?" I asked. "That you proposed to my sister." He stammered. "I didn't know you were related." "But you knew about me," I said quietly. "You just didn't care." He sighed. "Broken. I loved you. Then you should have chosen me before the ring found another hand." Silence. Then, "Please, don't turn everyone against me." I almost laughed. You don't need my help for that. You did it yourself. It was the last time we ever spoke. Truth had taken everything from me, but it had given me something purer in return: clarity. 2 weeks after that night, the world began to whisper. Small towns always do. At the grocery store, at church, even in the coffee shop. People stared, half with pity, half with awe. That's the woman whose fiancé proposed to her twin, they'd murmur. And I'd smile politely, holding my head high. The truth had set me free, but freedom carried its own kind of loneliness. One morning, I ran into Ethan. He looked like a shadow of the man I once loved, tired, thinner, his eyes rimmed with regret. "Clara," he said quietly, "please, can we talk?" I hesitated, then nodded. We sat at a small cafe table, sunlight spilling between us. "I know you hate me," he said. "I don't," I answered. "I just don't believe you anymore." He looked down. "When I met Isabel, I thought she was you. She had your smile, your warmth." I was confused. "You were selfish," I corrected gently. "And that's not confusion, it's cowardice." He swallowed hard. "I never meant to hurt you." "I know," I said softly. "But you did. And that's something we both have to live with." When I stood to leave, he reached out. "Clara, please, can we start over?" I shook my head. "You can start over, Ethan. Just not with me." And for the first time, I walked away without looking back. That evening, Isabel called. "He came to see me too," she said. "I told him not to contact me again." "You did the right thing." There was a pause, then she whispered, "I still feel guilty. Like I helped break your heart." "You didn't," I said firmly. "He did. And now we both get to choose what comes next." We began meeting every week after that. Sometimes for coffee, sometimes for quiet walks. The more we talked, the more I saw pieces of myself I'd been missing for years. The same laugh, the same stubborn streak, even the same crooked handwriting. We weren't strangers anymore. We were sisters finding each other after a lifetime apart. Our mother took longer to face the truth. When Isabel and I visited, she opened the door with trembling hands. "You both," she whispered, tears already spilling. "You're here." We didn't say much. We just held her, 3 women bound by pain and forgiveness. Over dinner, she told us everything. The panic after childbirth, the pressure from doctors, the lie she'd been forced to live. "I thought I was saving you both," she said. "But I was just trying to survive." Isabel reached across the table. "You don't have to carry that guilt anymore, Mom. We're okay now." And somehow, we were. Weeks turned into months. The whispers faded, replaced by nods of quiet respect. Isabel started volunteering at a women's shelter, helping others heal through stories of loss. I began working with adoption support groups, using my voice to guide others searching for family. We weren't defined by betrayal anymore. We were defined by what came after. Then, one spring morning, Isabel came to my door holding a photo album. "Mom gave me this," she said. Inside were faded pictures, our birth tags, hospital blankets, and a note in our mother's handwriting, "My 2 hearts. Always together." We sat in silence, tears falling freely. After a long pause, Isabel whispered, "We lost so much time." I nodded. "Then let's make the rest count." Months later, we hosted a small family brunch. The house was full of laughter, warmth, and the kind of peace that only truth can bring. Mom raised her glass, her voice trembling. "To my daughters, who taught me that love can heal what silence once destroyed." When the guests left and the sun began to set, Isabel and I stood by the window. Our reflections overlapped in the glass. 2 faces, 1 story. For so long, I thought my life ended the day Ethan betrayed me. But now I understand. It began the moment I chose honesty over heartbreak. It began when I saw my sister for the first time and realized that sometimes, the people who break us are just stepping stones to the ones who complete us. We watched the sky turn gold and then fade to dusk. "Do you ever wish it had happened differently?" Isabel asked. I smiled faintly. "No. Because if it had, I might never have found you." The wind rustled the curtains, and I felt a strange, quiet peace. The kind that comes not from forgetting, but from forgiving. And in that silence, I finally understood. The story wasn't about betrayal, it was about becoming. Becoming the woman who could survive the truth. Becoming the sister who could forgive. Becoming the daughter who could love again. That's the story I choose to tell. And maybe, in some way, that's where love truly begins.